All right, guys, welcome back for the second part of pulling this engine out. So now what we're gonna be doing is actually getting the engine off the subframe and detached from the transmission. The way we're gonna do this is use this piece of angle iron, and we have a chain already hooked up to it. And we're gonna use the car and the lift to actually pull up the engine, and then we'll detach all the transmission bolts and dismount. It's very nice, taking the axle off the block, so we gotta detach that. So we got this thing hooked up.
God damn it.
See, I have it underneath the cowl there. I have it chained up down here. So now what I'm gonna do is lift up the vehicle, get support, because right now the engine is just chilling on the subframe. We gotta lift it up a little bit to remove some tension, and then we'll start busting off all the transmission bolts. So far, we've got all the grounds that I pulled off of this one here, because they're attached to the wiring harness and the transmission, which I got there. That's a 15. Sometimes this bolt's a real pain in the ass to get to when you're doing a clutch in this thing. The one right above the starter, see that one that's already mostly pulled out? A lot of times you got to get like all kinds of swivels and stuff and come back through here to actually get above the starter and get that bolt. But luckily with everything out, it's pretty easy to get to. The two bolts, the one you can see right above the block for the clutch that accepts the line for the hydraulic. You can see that open hole there, and the one on the top right past the linkage right here, the shifter arms. And then Jake's working on this stuff back here.
Two back here and then the bottom.
Do you want to get him on the shot there?
Yeah, these two.
These two right here on the back side of the trans, and then there's two obvious ones under the oil pan, which I'll show you here, and that bolt there. And then you have one on the other side, that's where Jake's getting to right now. All right, so we got all the bolts out. We're gonna raise this thing up and start dismounting the transmission. So there you have it. Thing is off the subframe. It's actually pretty simple to pull it all off. I mean, it's just like doing a transmission once you have everything disconnected. Just had to do those bolts, and then we broke it loose as you saw on the time lapse there. Now we just got to figure out how we're gonna mount this thing on an engine stand and get it to an engine stand. We got to get this out from under it so that we can roll an engine stand over here, which is not a big deal now that we have a lot of the weight off. So let's see which one we're gonna get. There's that GM Performance clutch, people. Stage 2, if you care to know. Seems to work really well. 200 to the wheel, 250 to the wheel right now. Holding up fine. I heard guys like do over 300 with these. Definitely gonna test that out because I'm gonna be putting this back in, and hopefully we're gonna make over 300 wheels, so let's do it. Damn, still too short. Ooh. Damn, we need some long bolts, people. Some long bolts. All right, guys, it's getting late. It's about 10:30, which to some of you guys, that's not late. But I gotta work tomorrow, so I'm trying to get out of here. This guy's doing some last minute stuff on his car. Finally got the engine stand on here. What I had to do is have a 3-bolt on the sides here. I had to take the dowel out of this one because I was gonna crush it, and I didn't have bolts long enough anyway to go past it, and then had 2 bolts. So, as I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted by said air compressor, the engine stand's on there. Just had to pull that dowel out. Now I'm gonna put it down on the engine stand, bring this whole car down. Probably gonna just put the subframe on tomorrow. It's quite a pain. We had to jack up our blocks because we couldn't get our engine stand under it. So, but we got it on the stand now. Free and clear, not hung up. All we gotta do is just put it on the other side and tear this thing down. Start having some fun with it. All right, guys, it's bright and early, Saturday morning. It's time to get back at this engine here. So So my plan today is to pull everything off the engine. Depending on what I got as far as time goes, I may start pulling it apart. I don't know if I'll put it in this video specifically, but you'll definitely be keeping up with it as we go along here. So I got a lot to undress and I have a lot to label because I want to just make this as easy as possible going back together. So I need to label all the wiring, all the plugs, so I don't have any issues or trying to figure out. Luckily, I'm filming a lot of this so I can use that to kind of help me with some of the plug finding and whatnot if I do mess up on some of that. But you know, all in all, I want to label with the tape. If you guys were watching the weight cutting videos and how I was pulling the thing apart, a lot of the wiring harness I was taping and labeling so that once I go back with it, it's easy to find out where everything goes. So we're just gonna get right into it. I gotta drain the oil still on this thing and start undressing all the front drive stuff. And we also gotta put the subframe back together, back into the car. Otherwise, we're not gonna be able to get any cars in this bay to actually work, because this is also my business as well. So not too much of a problem. It moved just a little bit from where it originally sat, so we're not gonna have too big of an issue as far as putting it back together and rolling it out. But you know, that's one more task that we have to accomplish here. All right guys, so if you're gonna do it the way I'm doing it, it's difficult. I don't advise it, but it works. It's just kind of a pain getting this thing back in here. So what I have to do is jack up the subframe here, and I'm using this bar. I'm actually using it to pushing down on it to pivot it up so that I can get it in line, and I'm moving it around. Just because I had to move the subframe ever so slightly, it's really difficult lining these bolt holes back up. But I am getting them lined up and getting them started. It's just quite a bit of a challenge. But this is what it's taken to get it done. Missed a time lapse, but she's back in the car on the trans mount. Found my exhaust leak, which was quite interesting, but I made it worse because I dropped the subframe on it a little bit, but I had to replace it anyway, so not a big deal. So I'm gonna spray this thing down with degreaser first because this thing is so oily, so nasty. And as I'm trying to label all my wires, nothing's really sticking to it, and it'll just be nicer pulling everything apart. So I'm gonna spray down with a heavy duty kitchen degreaser, let it sit for maybe like 5-10 minutes, and then I'm gonna power wash it, take everything off. Got the power washer out there, engine's ready to go. But you guys are not coming with me because it's gonna get wet and it's gonna get nasty. Look at the boy, look at him. Look at him. Oh shit. Getting the crevices. Oh damn. Now I got a bunch of water down my sleeve from power washing. We're good to go. This thing's probably cleaner than it's ever been. Like even when I bought the car, my God, it was pretty dirty and nasty. But now I'm just gonna take the compressed air, dry it off a little bit, and then start labeling and pulling everything apart. So my bad on the filming, guys. Haven't really paying attention. Haven't really gotten too far though. It's just gotten late because you know, daily work comes first. So what I've been doing is just labeling all the wiring harness. I've been pulling it off a little bit at a time, doing the same way that I'm doing everything else. Just taping up the wires and connectors with names on them so you can see what they're for. So there you have it. Got the whole wiring harness off the engine now. Everything's labeled, so I know where to put it back. Just gotta figure out how it twizzles into this system, but shouldn't be too difficult, especially with all these videos. I can watch it all over again. So that wraps up this one. I'm gonna keep these fairly short, so I'm just gonna stop it here. Next, I'm gonna be pulling more of the bigger stuff off the engine. Let me know if there's specific things that you guys wanna see in these videos, because while I'm here, I might as well show you guys. It's the whole point of why I'm doing it, so that you guys can see what's going on. And if you have any questions you want me to show specifically, I can do that. So comment, let me know what you guys think, how these are going out, if I'm giving you the right information, if they're quality or not. And to let you guys know, I do post videos every Wednesday and Sunday night I've been pretty consistent with that, and I'm gonna keep it that way. So just be aware of that, and I'll see you guys on the next one.